New camera.
Yeah. It's really weird because the viewfinder actually works. Because the old one was flipped upside down, so it's really, really weird.
Plus, it's got these little boxes around her face, which are there all the time. Even though it's not going to be on the video, I'm very sure. I haven't had much,
it follows you.
I haven't had much chance to sort of mess around with this. There's no audio level at the bottom, which is distracting me because I like to know that sort of stuff.
Yeah, but we're recording this in the flat, and it's like 10:30 at night. Is it 10:30? It's almost 11 at night, and so we're not going to be peaking the audio.
Yeah, and
we have 26 minutes of battery.
Although this records at a higher level than the other one, we're still getting these dots in the background, and I put that into lighting.
It's just a backseat critique. So guys, don't be too critical. Don't be like, well, I discounted everything you had to say about Star Wars
I'm
because
going to sit at the back seat of my car and critique your camera.
We can't because Robin the Minion's not here.
Actually, I'm going to buy another camera. This is going to be the new backup camera because the actual camera kind of died when we were filming the Christmas episode. So that's going to be up around the same time as this. But there are less takes taken than I would have liked because of the camera problems.
But it's really class, don't worry. No, it's not. So, do you want to talk about the movies?
Okay.
So, like, several days late, we watched Rise of Skywalker, and the thing is that we could have gone to see the midnight showing, but I don't know. I mean, I'm old. I just can't do a midnight showing anymore. I just get too tired.
And you can do a midnight screening, but you only do them if I drag you to them. I don't give much of a crap about Star Wars.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't drag you.
Like I said, basically, I'm like, I wouldn't cry if we didn't see it at the midnight release. You know, maybe the next day. Maybe wait till the crowds die down. I don't like trying to see a film when there's a lot of kids running around the theater making noise. So we were like, Monday night? Yeah, Monday night. So, you know. Everyone's already got their views and opinions.
Plus, we went with my sister, which that was cool, because she's down visiting my parents for Christmas.
And also the ticket was free, because we have the special OmniPass memberships, and we get free.
Yes, because Omniplex is Ireland's version of... What's the American cinema?
There's a whole bunch of them. There's AMC. AMC is pretty big.
Okay, imagine if AMC was Irish and didn't have a zombie series.
It's really great, because their little, like, pre-show are these two lads, Rory and the other one.
One's from the south of Ireland, one's from the north of Ireland.
They're fantastic. They're really great. They're just
we're doing some banter about the movies that are coming out.
They're great crack. But, alright, so non-spoilers first, because people still freak the fuck out about spoilers. It was alright. It was entertaining. It was what I expected. I felt entertained. There were some issues, but on the whole, I'm like, this feels like Star Wars. This, like, makes the little Star Wars fan in me happy. And I'm excited to see where the IP will go next. So, that's my spoiler-free version.
It's going to go in the area of a Mandalorian, probably.
And stop being cowards, bastards. Give us Crystal Fox toys. The little Crystal Foxes from The Last Jedi. They were like instant merch. They were so good. But no. Cowards.
I thought this was very silly.
You kept saying that.
I'm not a fan of J.J. Abrams. As far as I'm concerned, his films seem to be empty-headed nostalgia machines. I'm not sure if it's any better or worse than the prequels, but at least George Lucas was trying to do something interesting and trying to do something that had meaning. Well, didn't do it well, but he was trying, while J.J. Abrams basically like, nostalgia, I like these things, put them on screen, woo! At least Rian Johnson, you know, he was trying to do something, you know, good. You know, a lot of people think he did something good. A lot of people say he didn't, and I'm like...
I thought it was alright.
I thought it was fine, but with bad bits, but he tried.
Here's the thing. And I realized what it was while we were watching this. I had a revelation. I had an epiphany. I had a come to Jesus moment. And I realized... Now see, my supervisor... Not actual Jesus, space Jesus.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yes. I had to come to Obi-Wan moment. Now see, so my supervisor in the PhD program was super big Star Wars fan. And before The Force Awakens came out, I said, I'm excited about this, but I'm also tempering my expectations. And he said, really? I said, well, I'm not the little kid that I was when I first saw Star Wars. Now, I was born in the first week of 1980, which means I'm 2 weeks away from being 40. So I'm not the child that I was when I saw those films. But I have to remember that when I go in to see The Force Awakens, that I am fundamentally a different person. This will have different salience. This will have different meaningfulness for me. And what I was thinking, because I see John Boyega and, as Finn, and I keep thinking, but I know he's English. I've heard his English accent. It weirds me out. And I look at the aesthetics, like, I wonder who did that prop, and, wow, I bet that extra was really chuffed to be in this. And I realized that in the past several years that I've gained this kind of meta-awareness about films, probably due to your influence. That when we do these things, I'm thinking about the background, I'm thinking about production, I'm thinking about scripts, and what were the actors thinking, bet that scene was awkward. But when you're a kid, you're not aware of all that kind of stuff, unless you're like a child actor or something. It's not, the script should have been like this, the scene should have been like that. It is what is. It's like when you're having a book being read to, or a fairy tale. You don't bitch about who's directed, this adaptation of, Three Billy Goats Gruff. It just is. And I thought to myself, I think that that's part of what's sucking some of the enjoyment for people for films, is concentrating too much on that meta-narrative. Just experience it as it is. That's what I said to myself. Just, stop thinking about props and actors and behind the scenes and the technology and stuff like that. Just appreciate what is. This is the story that you're watching. The Zen moment. Quote me on Twitter.
One slight disagreement and one slight not disagreement.
I disagree.
Well, the not disagreement is it's probably the internet's very helped with that, because people kind of have come with ideas and they communicate with each other and they come with all
and also the fact that I'm an adult now and I think in a meta narrative.
And also with these films, J.J. Abrams, his entire
he stole your child.
His entire shtick is to come up with mystery boxes and to encourage people to theorize and stuff, which does get people invested, but it also makes them pissed off.
I had this whole big soliloquy about art and things and the brain, and you're like, but you know whose fault this is? J.J. Abrams. Let me tell you.
This is why this effect is particularly bad in the new Star Wars films, and it's because of his style.
If you say so.
And it comes down to him misunderstanding the original trilogy of Star Wars, ironically. No, because he said he came up with the idea of putting mystery boxes in films, and he's like, what is this thing? Oh, we'll reveal later. You know how the Force Awakens said, who are Rey's parents? Who Snoke? All these questions. Mm-hmm. He does that in narratives because he said he was inspired by The Empire Strikes Back, when he was like, there was this big mystery about who killed Luke's father, and then you discover that Luke Skywalker's father wasn't killed, is actually Darth Vader. Mm. Which is a complete misunderstanding, because we knew what happened to Luke's father. He was betrayed and murdered by Darth Vader, and then we discovered that was wrong. There wasn't a mystery that got solved. It was a twist.
Maybe there was a mystery for him. Maybe he experienced that as like, I wonder.
Well, then J.J. Abrams did not pay attention to Star Wars Episode 4, because Obi-Wan said very clearly, your father was murdered by an old friend of his called Darth Vader. And
betrayed and
that's why it was a twist and not a mystery box. But the thing I'm agreeing with you on,
mystery box sounds like the punchline to a dirty joke.
The other point
is like moons over my hammy.
And the reason why children find it easier to watch things and just take it as is because they don't have the experience of having seen things over and over and over again, so that they can't compare it to other things.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. You're not thinking about a meta narrative. You're not thinking about it from an external level. You're experiencing it as it is. Yeah. When I was a kid, those characters were real. I had a catfish named Darth Vader, and I had little Tetra fish named after Leia and Luke and everything, and then they caught a disease and they died. But
just like in Return of the Jedi.
They caught Finn rot. But
just like in Force Awakens.
No. But I don't know, I think that concentrating so much on the discourse is just
Well, yeah, it's not healthy.
But it's nice to just relax. Just relax and be like, I'm just going to experience this as it is.
But I tell you, I have been finding it fascinating recently to watch YouTube videos of Star Wars lore, even though I don't much care for Star Wars, simply because there's now a generation of people who grew up with the prequels, who are convinced that the prequels are as good, if not better, than the original trilogy. And it's been fascinating coming up with their sort of POVs and things because they experienced them as kids.
Who was the guy that did that whole series, How to Fix the Prequels?
Belated Media.
Yeah, watch that. I mean, it's some long ones, but they're illustrated really well. I think like it's like he contracted someone to do with the line drawings, and it's just, and if you watch them, you're like, yeah, wow, that could have been really great. Yeah,
that was a big improvement. But the kids who grew up with the prequels think the prequels
charge the battery pack. The battery went.
It did go. It said we had 28 minutes.
I'm moving it like that. So what were you saying?
I was saying some stuff about kids having nothing to compare it to, and then you were extrapolating based on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just enjoyment, you know.
Sorry, we completely lost our train of thought.
So we had to scurry about moving it that way.
Unfortunately.
So you were yelling about J.J. Abrams.
Well, I do that all the time. I do not like what he did to Star Trek.
Well,
okay, but onto the film itself. I think we've talked enough about meta-narrative. I think this was a very silly film. The film was very silly indeed, and it's pretty clear that they were not... they didn't have a plan, or if they did, Rian Johnson...
Well, they had a plan, but so many things happened to skew that plan.
Rian Johnson decided to throw a bunch of it out, and then Carrie Fisher died, and Rian Johnson...
By the way, all the stuff with her was handled very, very well.
As well as it could be.
Like, I didn't tear up, but like I could kind of feel it in my throat. Like,
it's a miracle. It's as coherent as it is, considering it's like outtakes from the other films. Then Rian Johnson, he frankly made a mistake by not re-editing and rewriting Last Jedi. He should have had Leia take Holdo's place and then have Luke survive. Because apart from anything else, it would have made this film a bit more coherent.
And Akbar should have survived as well.
Well, yes, Akbar should always survive. Although, do you notice Akbar's son in this one?
I did.
Like, I'm baby Akbar.
There was a guy, I feel terrible saying this, but like, there was a guy with like neck beard and he's kind of big guy, and I was like, it's Porkin's son! The line of Porkins lives! Spoilers, he dies in the same way that your man did in New Hope, and I was like, no, Porkins! Why is your line cursed?
I'm pretty sure that guy was in The Force Awakens.
I know.
I think he's a friend of J.J. Abrams. He's in a bunch of his films.
Fair enough. Oh, and John Williams was in it for like a split second.
He was.
Fucking national treasure, that man. National treasure.
In the same way that George Lucas had a cameo in Revenge of the Sith.
Who was he in Revenge of the Sith?
He was like an extra during the opera sequence.
Oh yeah, coming down the stairs or something like that?
Yeah, I believe he had like blue skin or something.
Yeah, I've seen that on YouTube. Yeah, they asked John Williams, how do you, like, when, they did Force Awakens, how do you feel about this? And he actually said, I'm so glad I lived long enough to be able to compose more Star Wars music. And I was like...
I just wish that the films were better.
Oh, he didn't say that.
I know he didn't.
But,
Strange thing is, Jordan Williams, as I understand it, has never actually seen a Star Wars film in its completion. Because he watches the film to write the music, and then he conducts the music. There's no audio there. So he's never seen the completed film.
It's really neat.
Odd thing to think about. But anyway,
there was a big plot hole.
There's several.
No. Go on, slag it off. You want to.
The film was very, very silly, and there was clearly no big plan. So J.J. Abrams was just like, I gotta try and do a thing with this. Oh no, and
why does he sound like a Dalek?
I don't know.
Oh no.
He did not. He took the most most ridiculous plot. It's like the Last Jedi had been set up pretty damn perfectly for a final thing where Kylo Ren as the Supreme Leader being the proper bad guy who is irredeemable, and sort of like you've got how you got other guys are like light side one's tempted by the dark, whatever. He's like dark side tempted for the light, and it's like, so you got a reversal there. And then you've also got, instead of having he can be redeemed like Darth Vader was, to make him so he's not redeemed, make him evil for his own sake, and then have him getting taken down. It's like, it's very simple. It flows from Last Jedi. and they just completely threw it out because they felt the need to bring back Palpatine.
No, because here's the thing, and again, no spoilers at this point, you deserve it. I mean, not you deserve it, but you know what I mean. He, all his life, he's wanted to emulate Vader. And he did. He sacrificed himself for a light side Jedi.
It's like poetry. It rhymes.
Yeah, I'm not saying that this is like fucking like Citizen Kane. I'm just saying that, well, he died doing what he loved, trying to be Darth Vader.
Like, after seeing The Last Jedi, on Twitter I made a comment that, you know, what I wanted from Episode 9 was basically irredeemable Kylo Ren and a bunch of his guys, you know, being taken down by an army of ghost Jedi, sort of like the army of ghosts in Return of the King. You know, bring back every single fucking actor you can who is still around who can like swing a lightsaber to be Force ghosts who are killing shit.
See, you know what I want? I want a twist in the next, wherever this property goes next, where you find out that the Sith, you know, the race of the Sith were like horribly, horribly, horribly oppressed by the Jedi, like tens of thousands of years ago, to the point that like the Jedi wiped them out and then wrote this narrative where like, oh, they're evil and even their language should be banned by decree of the Senate because they're so bad. And so it's like how the Daleks were the peaceful ones and the Thal were the war ones, until the nuke kind of like switched them around. And so we'll find out that like there's some planet out there where there's like primordial Sith still living and like in terror and fear that one day the Jedi are gonna find them and wipe them the fuck out. They've got no idea of the, you know, thousands of years that have passed or the intergalactic wars or shit. They're just like, oh no, someday the Jedi will find us.
It's like the
But that's copyright me, so we'll have to talk if you want to use that, Disney.
It's like the show Mud, which is, you can find it on YouTube. But the second series is it's a really great Stephen Moffat style Doctor Who plot, but like good. But it's a kids film series, and the plot is about these kids who team up with this, you know, avuncular old man who's like a doctorish figure who's trying to stop the evil one, who is this witch who's trying to destroy the world. And of course they use a time traveling ambulance because it's basically Doctor Who with the things filed off. But then they go back in time. And they find out, they see like the younger version of the evil one, and she is a little old lady who's falsely accused of being a witch by the Witchfinder General, who's the avuncular old man.
What?
And so he basically kills her entire family. And the thing is, neither she or he in the present day, or the future versions, can remember why they started fighting. And like the old man is horrified to discover what he had done in the past, and so he murders his past self. And he sort of wipes himself out of history, which I thought was like really metal for a kids show. Yeah. So I'm like vaguely similar-ish.
See, the thing is that I think that we need to focus on what's always been the best part of Star Wars, and that's the setting itself. Like, I think the worst thing that Disney did was to get rid of the Extended Universe. If you don't know, the Extended Universe is all the comics, all the novels, because there are about 1 billion novels, Truce at Bakura being my personal favorite. So that was all gotten rid of. The Star Wars universe is such a lucrative place to play. You can set any kind of movie, like how Solo was kind of a heist movie, like how Rogue One was a war movie. Anything you want. It doesn't even have to involve the Jedi. It doesn't have to involve the Force at all. It can just be about smugglers. It can just be about like nobles on some backwater planet somewhere. It's an incredibly vibrant setting that's full of life. It doesn't always have to be about the monomyth and about sagas. And I think the best thing that they could do is to kind of step back and say, okay, we closed this book. It was, 45, 50, no, 45, 40. Was 76 or 77?
Oh, 77.
Okay.
Okay, I was thinking about in university.
All right, so it's been almost 45 years. You know, this is a great place to end it. We have raised generations. We have new generations. You know,
and in 20 years they'll do another one.
Yes, let's branch out. Like I wanna know more about again spoilers, the defecting stormtroopers. I thought that one girl. I thought she was great. You know,
she was allegedly supposed to be Lando Calrissian's daughter who'd been taken. There was meant to be more there apparently. So at the end, when they go off together, that was not meant to be him picking her up. That was apparently meant to be like.
Yeah, I didn't take it in like a creepy pedo kind of way. Like I took it as like, well, let's go have adventures. Like, I seriously would watch an entire Netflix series, several seasons of which, just young Lando on the Millennium Falcon getting into trouble.
I wish Lando had, gone off with
Mr. Glover.
We'd had more stuff with Lando going back, with the Millennium Falcon. Like, so he leaves with the Millennium Falcon, and he, talks to it and stuff like that, to give more reference to the fact that they took his droid rights activist and put her brain into the fucking thing, so she's sitting there, being a slave to humanity, even though that was the one thing that, disgusted her more above all.
Chewie probably, gives her novels to read.
I would hope so. But,
That was another good thing after Leia, her tasteful exit from the series, and they get back to the planet, and and Chewbacca just falls the fuck down in abject despair. That was really good. That was just very meaningful.
And apparently all Jedi now have the ability to fade away when they die, and then, come back.
I thought that only meant that you were coming back as a Force ghost. And I figured because you see Vader's body...
What we saw was armor.
No, hold on. You see Vader's body when he falls. When Luke takes his
Yeah, he was still alive
his helmet off, right? And then I was assuming that he didn't become a Force ghost, but then he is at the end. So I figured they just burned his armor, and we didn't see him going...
See, we didn't see any evidence either way of Vader, whether he had a body or not at the end. In the original trilogy...
I thought, your body only vanished if you immediately became one with the Force.
In the original trilogy, the implication was, in isolation, that any Jedi vanishes when they die.
Yeah.
Then the original trilogy had Qui-Gon not vanishing. And honestly, at the time, I had this, before Attack of the Clones came out, I had this theory that Qui-Gon was actually a secret Sith apprentice. And that Palpatine was manipulating stuff to have Qui-Gon and Maul fight each other so that, the stronger one would survive.
Actually, that would be really cool.
And but then, of course, both died in LOL. But then it became the thing that Jedi didn't vanish, and then it became a skill that Obi-Wan learned from Qui-Gon, and that allowed you to become a Force ghost because it allowed you to maintain your consciousness in the Force.
I figured, and this is just my own personal headcanon, I figured that if you got strong enough in the Force, it happened, you became one with the Force automatically, but you would have to be something extra special to be able to manifest as a Force ghost. Otherwise, everyone would be doing it.
Apparently, they're connected. That if you die normally, you just become you just become part of the Force. But if you Qui-Gon, though, he managed to come back, but only his voice. But apparently,
so not appearing in this one.
If you vanish, that means you can become a Force ghost because you're not lost in the Force.
I know there were rules for it in the D20 setting.
But then Mace Windu's back, and he definitely didn't learn it. And what do you call him? Kylo Ren didn't learn it, the skill, and Leia didn't learn it. Well, possibly, I suppose. But if Kylo Ren,
no, she did because she was at the end.
I know. So it's this is confusing.
We don't know what she was. We need some clarification.
And what I'm saying is, the original series set up a rule. The prequels, changed it, retconned it, but made it basically that, we'd misunderstood in the sequel, in the original trilogy. And then this one completely threw it out the window.
But it was good. There were droids, or cute little animatronics, Henson creatures.
Apparently the cute little robot has its own pet, cute little robot now.
I like that. I like that he has a baby son for himself.
And that one was voiced by J.J. Abrams.
Oh. For Christ's sake, he's just a director. Leave it alone. Just stop. Stop with the discourse. Stop with the discourse. What else? It was good. It was exciting. There were space battles and stuff. And Finn and Poe bouncing off each other like the beautiful bromance they are. Not that I think that they are gay where they should be gay.
Well, they think they should be gay, but
the actors think they should be gay.
They didn't think the makers didn't have the courage to do that.
There were two girls that kissed though at the end. So, don't worry guys, homophobia is sorted forever. Two girls kissed in Star Wars.
One of those girls was this blonde woman who...
She looks familiar.
We both recognize her, we don't know where from.
I'll look it up later.
She looks a bit like Victoria Wood, but it's not Victoria Wood.
But here's one thing I liked about we kept flashing back to the Rebel camp, or the Resistance camp every so often. And, it really did, I don't know, there's something about that just really felt really good, people just running around doing, but they were young folks. I don't know, I just liked it. Everyone, all the extras seemed really happy to be there. I'm in Star Wars.
Now, people can complain about Lucas and the prequels, but at no point in the original trilogy or the prequels were we unclear as to exactly the state of galactic politics was. Because in this one, please someone tell me, watch this and tell me what exactly the galactic government is, because the New Republic apparently got destroyed in the Force Awakens. We know that there's separate planets like Canto Bight, which are not connected, where people are selling weapons to both sides. And in this one, they make reference to using this new army of Star Destroyers, which this Emperor has been keeping, apparently fully manned. No mention of where the people came from.
No, they were snatching people. They were snatching kids.
Yes.
She says it.
A bunch of small children running around controlling Star Destroyers that have been there for 30 years.
No, because he says that he's had this, like, it's implied that he has this... Like, because the one First Order guy is like, what the fuck is this cult? Like, he's been using influence, and like, because I thought to myself, Jesus fucking Christ, the Sith always have the best resources. Who's funding them? Like, seriously.
He's keeping Star Destroyers there in one place, fully manned for 30 years. So apparently you got people just, growing up, just living there, and, like suddenly one day, after 29 years of sitting there at the gunny station doing nothing and, finally giving no fucks about your job, so you're like, coming to work naked or whatever, and then suddenly it's like, we're going to do the war thing. It's like, oh fuck, and they gotta like try to remember what their fucking job is because they've not done it. It's almost better if Palpatine was controlling them all with his mind.
I don't know who any of these character names are, so I don't know who plays who. Oh, but Ian McDiarmid is Emperor Palpatine. He looked fucking pleased to be there. He looked like, yes, I have waited so long to play this role again. I was born for this.
The Emperor looked...
He's even smiling on IMDb.
The Emperor looked different in this one. He looked more like the Emperor in Return of the Jedi, which makes sense.
This wee girl played Babu Frick.
Yeah. In the original, in the prequels, even, melted-faced Palpatine looked like... he looked chubbier than original Palpatine, because original Palpatine was played by Ian McDiarmid in, his 20s. Apparently, apparently Palpatine is the only person to ever be killed by Force Lightning. Because, apparently, Force Lightning can take down ships, but, Luke Skywalker has to be blasted with it for fucking minutes before he gets... And he doesn't even suffer any permanent damage.
Which was
her?
Yeah.
He gets no permanent damage. Darth Vader, he got hurt by it. But Palpatine, he blasts himself in all three final movies in the trilogy, and he apparently hurts himself each time. And this one, he just
Force Lightning's himself. A bitch.
Force Lightning might be a bit silly.
She's been in a whole bunch of stuff. Christopher Robin.
Yeah, she was in Last Jedi as well.
Yeah, it looks like she's just one of those English character actors that's just in everything.
Okay, she's an English TV actress.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Midsummer Murders. Just a whole bunch of stuff. Little Dorrit. I have that on DVD somewhere. But anyway, so she looked familiar with us. But, it wasn't as bad as people are whinging about. At a certain point, I feel like people are looking for things to whinge about. It was fine. It was entertaining. It wasn't perfect. Although, I tell you what, most of C-3PO's lines made me kind of go... He was scripted quite well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, C-3PO.
Yeah.
Multiple times in this, people die and then don't die.
Yeah, you know what it made me think of? It made me think of those old, 1930s comic series. You see, oh no, the Rocketeer, the Flash or somebody, or Superman, go into a building and it explodes, and oh no! And then, which is the next issue, it shows it, a panel before the explosion, Superman walked out the door.
Well, that makes sense, considering the inspiration for Star Wars originally, which was Flash Gordon serials.
There you go.
But here's the thing, we have no type of seriousness because, several main characters seemingly die and then revealed don't die. One of them gets their mind wiped and then doesn't get a mind wiped.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. Spoilers.
There's no way.
It's a droid. Droids can be easily backed up. That's the most plausible comeback from the dead.
If R2-D2 keeps a backup of C-3PO's mind, then why didn't he do that before Revenge of the Sith when he got his mind wiped?
Because maybe that's when he learned it. Shit, fuck, I'm not dealing with this again.
So, I wish C-3PO had stayed mind-wiped, it would have given it weight. Chewbacca almost dies, but doesn't.
I feel like Chewbacca didn't die because with the loss of Peter Mayhew, I think it would have been really depressing for a lot of people. And I think that maybe characters might have been slated to die, but just the death of Carrie Fisher and having to put the character to bed that way because the actor died, I feel like that was kind of a concession made to people.
It's possible. I'm very glad they didn't kill Chewbacca. It's the only one where I was fine with, because Chewbacca is literally a character who can be recast infinite times as long as he's got a tall, thin actor. Because all his voice is entirely stock. They've got sounds for it, so he can infinitely recast Chewbacca and keep him there as a continuity thing. That's cool. But the thing with C-3PO, and then with even new characters. Pose X and her little monster friend.
Yeah, I thought to myself, oh, that's kind of sad. Oh, wait, they're alive at the end. I don't...
Yeah, it's like...
But then he's like, hey, are we getting together? She's like, no. He's like, right, boundaries.
Although I will say, I had one moment of very, very happy excitement when Wedge Antilles turned up and said 3 words. He's like, well, my nephew wouldn't talk to me if I didn't come back for this one.
That's great.
You know whose nephew is in real life?
No.
Ewan McGregor.
What? Wow. Do you know, I saw this on Facebook. I was scrolling through. It was a Doctor Who panel, and it was a question. Someone said, excuse me, what's the craziest thing a fan's ever given you? And Peter Davidson answered, grandchildren. Sorry, I just thought of that.
Oh, yes. I really wish that they'd gone a bit mad with the fan service. If you're bringing back an old sort of Sith to be, to the ultimate villain just randomly, I really think they should have gone all out with the madness and brought in Jar Jar Binks as the Darth Jar Jar theory.
That would have been fantastic.
Me's a Darth Plagueis! That would have been hilarious. But another one, the guy...
You wanted to get through Emperor, go through me first.
And the
And he's got instead of Darth Maul's one, he's got a fucking it's the lightsaber this and a trident on the other. Because aren't the Gungans undersea people?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Also, the guy who played Jango Fett, bring him back, age him up, just to make him look like he's in his 80s, and then have him play a random rebel. And so it's like a clone who joined the good sides and survived.
Okay, I'm gonna tell the story now because I was clever 15 years ago and I still want fucking credit for it. Okay, so yonks ago, I ran a Star Wars D20 tabletop game. And it was kind of cool because I had 2 characters playing Jedi, one as the Master and one as a young Padawan. I had, my best friend was playing a Twi'lek merchant who was Force sensitive, who would use the Force to kind of try to get better deals and discounts and stuff. I had a bored human noble, and I had a human fighter pilot who ends up being their pilot. And they were this took place right before Order 66 and the prequels, and they were actually sent out. The 2 Jedi were sent out on this mission because there was a rumor that a clone trooper had defected along the Outer Rim, and the word on the street was the word in the intelligence report was that he was Force sensitive, which is something that wasn't supposed to happen with any of the clone troopers. And they found him, and he eventually became an NPC. And Order 66 happened, and they were running around. And I'm still really brilliant for thinking of that.
I can see one problem with that, in that the midichlorians are entirely biological, and so your amount of midichlorians the clone trooper's midichlorian level will be exactly the same as Jango Fett.
The D20 rules were printed before the prequels. There's no midichlorians involved.
Well, George Lucas, it's in George Lucas' stuff. I just want to say
I was still clever.
I agree. I really wish that that George Lucas had made his sequel trilogy, because it sounds mad, but different from the other ones, and like Star Wars, like the original series and then the prequels, they would have felt different again because he wanted to make them all unique. And this one is basically the most expensive fan films ever made.
I'm fine with that.
No, I just wish that Lucas is an auteur, for better or for worse.
Well, the thing is that, at a certain point, what you see is what you get. Everyone's, whinging about it online and stuff, but the thing is, it's saying, oh, I wanted to go get pizza, and the pizza wasn't gourmet pizza. It was still pizza, though. You're still getting treats. oh, this Star Wars wasn't exactly what I wanted, but it's still Star Wars though, you know. Like, I mean, I remember being a kid and I forget, I had to get some kind of injection. It might have been tetanus. It might have been, I had to get some kind of injection in my arm, and I got really sick from it, and my whole side swelled up. I was a little kid, and I was like upset and stuff like that. And my dad went out, and he got me a whole bunch of treats. And he went to Kmart, actually. That's how old I am. He went to Kmart, and he came back with, there was an animated series, there was an animated droid series.
Oh, I got that on DVD.
I don't know, because I told you the story, we had that discussion. And he had, there was either one long episode or there was a film that bookended it called The Great Heap or something like that. It was about the droids, you know, getting into mischief. And, like, I watched that, like, half my body puffed up, sitting on the couch, you know. And so, like, my fondest memories of Star Wars are my childhood. And nothing that happens now will invalidate that. I mean, people have passed away, characters have passed away, rights have passed hands. I mean, at the end of the day, it's still pizza, though. You know what I mean?
Well, I've got nothing. I'm not saying you're wrong. I've got no problem with that.
Like, I'm not saying wrong, but let's talk about J.J. Abrams, because let me tell you.
No, it's just,
What would you do if he, like, knocked on the door and he's like, listen, I heard what you've been saying on the internet, quite frankly.
I'd say I have the right to say, you know, to think you're not very good at filmmaking.
How did you get into the building? We have to buzz you in.
Yeah.
It was fine. It was fine. And you know what? I hope that there are kids who watched this who were my age and were like, whoa.
Well, yeah.
I'm going to grow up to be a Jedi.
I'm looking forward to about 10, 15 years from now when we're going to get videos on future YouTube. You know, the 3% that aren't Nazi videos, where we're going to have people explaining why this sequel, this set of Star Wars films are the best objectively, and it will, the logic will no doubt be fascinating.
Probably, if we're still alive.
You know, there's gonna
if they let us watch it, you know, future YouTube in the gay concentration camp.
Like if you
Barley Heights number 17.
Like if you look at if you look at the YouTube, like right now, you got like people who are younger than us talking about how, you know, the prequels are great and like it's lore and stuff, and how it's really deep, and, you know, how it makes perfect sense, and, you know, we can like scoff and say no, it doesn't, but, you know, they think it does, and their logic is fascinating.
That's true. Although I will tell you the best part of the prequels, and the best part of the prequels was the end, the one where they're having the big celebration parade, all the Gungans around, and Jar Jar Binks falls off his animal. And I was there seeing it with 3 of my friends, and my friend's girlfriend went, ha ha, and she went to slap her knee. I don't know why this was her automatic humor response. I thought knee slapping was like an ironic thing. She creamed my friend in the nuts. She went, whoop-bam, and he went, Fwah! And he fell out of his chair. And me and Brendan were like... So that was, objectively speaking, the best part of the prequels. Your mileage.
In the galactic celebrations in this film, they really should have had more planets, because we saw Cloud City, and we saw Tatooine, and we saw Endor, which apparently has an ocean and an entire area with no trees, apparently.
It's a whole entire planet, just because.
It's a moon.
Well, okay, maybe it was a moon with a planet until a big hucking part of the Death Star fucking pierced its atmosphere, made a big, huge crater, which is a natural runoff place, and now it has its own tidal currents. Huh.
Maybe. But they should have showed Naboo, they should have showed Coruscant in the final...
You're like, this is impossible. Here's how it's possible. But let me tell you about this. You're just like your dad.
I think you've just described the Salton Sea. Because that's how it was created, by like creating water going in there because there was a hole and stuff. Just stuff like that's how it happened. Not the Death Star. The Death Star didn't do it, but there was a hole and then water ran into it, and then
no, but like not in the world. Yeah, but like because not that there was a hole, but you know something that big that disrupted the atmosphere. That's gonna fuck with the whole. And it's only a moon, so I can see how the weather worsens in that area. There's where there were break winds, there weren't. So like that whole entire region is destabilized. You have this really. I mean, it looked like a sea from where, from our vantage point, it could have just been a large lake. I mean,
could have been.
Lake Superior, it's fucking huge. It's like an inland sea.
They don't tend to have waves that big, though. Lakes.
Not normally, no. But in bad weather, yeah.
Maybe.
Google the Great Lakes. But yeah, so I find that perfectly feasible.
That's fine. I was just...
You're a geologist, right, the show.
I was just kind of reminded of how Star Trek Discovery, almost every time we see Vulcan,
Geologist.
it's rainy and filmed in Canada, even though Vulcan, every single time before Discovery was shown, it was a fucking desert with an average degree temperature of like 40 degrees centigrade.
Climate change.
Which is... And this is because they filmed in Canada, and so like we can't do that. They even showed the Forge, which is meant to be the hottest part of Vulcan, and it was fucking raining.
It was just a bad day.
Like, Vulcan is meant to be like Mad Max future because nuclear weapons destroyed most of the atmosphere, and that's why it's a desert.
But anyway, this has been a very long vlog.
It has, I apologize.
Final thoughts. I thought it was fine. It was fine. Stop whinging. It doesn't matter that there were girls in it, and people of color, and the gay. It was fine. It was okay. It was Star Wars pizza, for Christ's sake.
I'm not aware of me complaining about any of those things.
Because that's why I'm saying it to the camera, not to you.
I'm complaining about little things like logic. Oh yeah, apparently Force lightning can destroy, fuck up an entire fleet of stuff because...
That was cool. I like
that. That was ridiculous.
He had the power of all the Sith.
I don't give a shit. That's not how the Sith works.
How do you know? Are you a Sith?
Because I've looked at a lot of Star Wars lore videos based on both the old continuity and the new continuity, and that's not how it works. They're not like... It's not like the Matrix of leadership where you are containing like all your predecessors in there. You're a bunch of individuals who have power, and you learn from the other one, and then you kill them. You don't absorb... That's not how Sith and Jedi work.
But he, has technology. He was like fucking GLaDOS there hanging out. Did you not think of GLaDOS the whole time? He's like, no, not or Assassin's Creed. When you're in the Animus, but on the thing you just lie in the video game you just lie on a table. Yeah. When the Assassin's Creed movie, it's like he's like hooked up like GLaDOS. That's what it made me think of. I'm so glad you've come to join the Sith. And then we are assassins. Yes, we are assassins.
I'm thinking what happened was there's a bunch of...
That's the worst part of the Assassin's Creed.
We still have no idea.
Assassins.
No idea what happened to how Palpatine escaped, but. Palpatine,
he's friends with the Master.
There's a bunch of cloned ones, and this is the one, it's the prize arm, someone won him.
Although, I got a Sith!
His son, who is unnamed, I am hoping against fucking hope that he was named Triclops.
Who did he fuck?
I don't know, but it had to have happened, before...
Force fucking!
Well, that is literally how Anakin happened.
That's true.
Plagueis and Palpatine did that. But...
What an awkward conversation for Obi-Wan and Anakin to have. Anakin, I think it's time that we can talk about this. You are not a Padawan anymore, so I need to tell you about your Force sperm. Now, I don't want you to go thinking that you can impregnate people from Coruscant halfway across the galaxy, because that is totally not what this power is for, okay?
Or Anakin would teach you the birds and the bees, and he goes, I already know the birds and the bees. Whenever a Dark Lord of the Sith, sees a woman, and he's like, I want to will the midichlorians to create life, then that happens.
Away in a manger.
Anyway, I hope his son...
A little Jedi lay.
I hope his son was called Triclops, because it was his son in the
blessed young
universe.
Skywalker asleep in the hay.
Triclops was his son who had 3 eyes, and he was a pacifist. In the extended universe.
Now I just want to filk, Christmas carols to make it be about Star Wars.
I'm pretty sure someone's done that.
Oh yeah.
Anyway.
Silent Night, Jedi Night,
maybe. But anyway, they'll make that the end.
Yeah, because I want to go to bed to watch Christmas Eve.
Bye bye.